about 9 years before the actual vision came alive, or dream of starting. So I had thought about it, and we incorporated a company, and we actually applied for registration. There was prolonged delay. We even got offices at Norwich Corner House on the 6th floor. We even put furniture.
So between 1990 and 1994, we struggled because there were conditions even for registration and incorporation of an insurance company. It required financial substance for you to be able to even get a name cleared as an insurance company. So we were able to meet those requirements in 1994. So in May, I think it was 18th May 1994, we were able to get approval and to register Mayfair Insurance Company Limited.
I got a job in an insurance company, and obviously now there was a conflict. So I shelved the idea for another time. And I didn't think about it. But when I left the insurance company, I had of course also gained some considerable experience in how insurance companies behave from another view, that is a reinsurance view.
I joined Mayfair on 5th October 2005. It was on a Wednesday, and I met only one gentleman in that office, James Ndegwa. There was nothing, literally nothing. There was no switchboard, there was no paper, there was no pen. An empty office, imagine. After about 2 months, towards the end of that year, we got our late MD. He was our first MD. He was called Mr. Tushasha. And there was the driver, Msupa. There was an underwriting manager called Gatei. Our MD in Zambia called Ashik Patel was then our senior underwriter. So when they came in, now the office started getting warm. Things started now moving.
Well, a startup is never easy. But in hindsight, the brand Mayfair became a relationship company. So our shareholders were all involved in creating relationships, and that picked up very well.
I first interacted with Mayfair almost at inception, 20 years ago, as a shareholder. The board was amazing at that time. There were shareholders on the board, some founder shareholders. We had a few lawyers on the board at that time. So the balance on the board was what was needed at that time, at that phase of Mayfair's existence.
So yeah, in 2008 is when we initially had this office. Obviously not officially open, but we already started having the Mombasa branch being ready for the market. We wore multiple hats, a small team of 2, a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and we had obviously then slowly the team grew. One by one we started hiring more people, and today we have 2 offices in Mombasa. So yeah, with a team of 2 to now a team of 12. So we have grown.
When I worked in the insurance sector, I had worked very well with James. So when he came in, he took charge of our insurance arrangement, because I wanted us to be safe from day one.
That at that time the industry was dominated by a few companies, and you could be like daring to say that you are starting a new startup from cleanup other than, let's say, buying existing player. But the vision, the thoughts was impressive, and we took a step of faith to say that we will partner together with Mayfair in this journey. 2, 3, 4 years down the line, we started seeing how Mayfair was changing the game.
At that time, we needed business. We needed to acquire more business. We needed to grow our brand, our strategy. We needed to acquire more accounts. And that's what we did. That's what we did. We just, hooked onto each other's networks and grew it with a lot of energy. Yeah.
Obviously, the initial reaction was that it's one of these insurance companies that again come into the market with a short-term view like the other short-term players. But as we got to know more about the people behind the company, we started sort of testing the waters by agreeing to work with them. Obviously, they visited us, as most insurance companies do regularly, come to Mombasa. They explained to us who they are, what they stand for. And one of the first things that caught my eye was their business slogan, which was "You're in safe hands." Whilst it sounds very simple and very cliche, it was something that really resonated with us in the way we look after our clients.
So all those companies were coming up, and it depends on the value proposition that they come up with. What is their entry strategy? And we believe that Mayfair had a better entry strategies than the others, and that's why maybe they are where they are today, because of that consistency and persistency.
Initially, I remember Mayfair, when it first started, it had an office at Barclays Plaza. That's where they started. Small, well, not very small compared, but as a young insurance underwriter, of course, they didn't have so much staff, etc., and all that. And it was almost like 4 or 5 people in the whole place there. And they created a very interactive, friendly atmosphere to start with, right from the beginning. And that journey continued, of course, for the first 10 years. Tushar was there as the MD, and we built a personal relationship between the two of us, etc., and all that. And I found that it was Mayfair that gave me the confidence to build my own agency, the support I had. It was never like a no, go out and do it, we are there to back you up.
Mayfair is an outlier in this, I would say, in the whole industry. I would say it's an outlier. There are certain industry beliefs. If you ask a person, they would say, no, if you want to grow 20%, 30%, you will have to be in the retail market. We don't work in retail market. If you want to grow big, if you want to be a 25% to 30% growth year on year, you have to deal in health. We don't deal in health. If you really want to grow, you have to have a motor insurance, which is basically the most sellable insurance, just like a potato. We don't do retail motor. So all three, if you ask anyone that, okay, if you want to grow, he will give you all these 3 criterias, and we don't do them.
Out of our strategy, we now have our balance scorecard for each head of department and for departments. That way we are not shooting in the dark, we are all focused towards the same direction.
What that struck me here, I think the strongest of all, is the way, it's the ethos of having your members of the heads of teams and departments and the managers within each of the respective departments brought in, almost embedded in what the company's vision is. It's not something that is discussed on a boardroom table. It's not something that is talked about behind closed doors and all. No, it really is for those colleagues of ours who matter in the business, have to be in the know about what is happening, where we are going.
Actually, we take pride in that 20% of our book is engineering related. When I say engineering, it's construction related business. We've overseen and assisted almost what we call most of the iconic landmarks in the country, from the GTC to what you'd call the Westgate when it was coming up, to when you look at the Nairobi Express. We oversaw its construction from day one when it was commissioned. But we still continue ensuring its operation office. What is unique about Mayfair, and it has really assisted it in its growth trajectory, is about the passion the shareholders, the director has in the business.
When we were first told that we were being evaluated for the global rating, first we didn't quite understand why we needed a global rating, yet we are this company, this small market. And when the rating was achieved, because of the parameters that they look into, it was a good feeling, knowing that we are doing something and we are doing something right, that other people outside there have recognized us for, and it put a spring in our step.
When we hit the 1 billion, I think it was just amazing for everyone. And that day, I think the whole company, they didn't care what time we are going home, but we have to hit this 1 billion. Mr. Tushar was all over the place, trying to call brokers, agents that, whatever you're hiding risk notes, please bring, we have to hit our target.
We had a strategy session in the Masai Mara, the board of directors and senior management. And we set out to build a 3-year vision. And that vision, one of the outcomes of that strategic session was that we want to be a Pan-African financial services provider. We are one of the only insurance companies that started a bank. It's usually the other way around, and that's a story on its own.
But I remember when we were doing Mayfair Tanzania, we'd do 3 more countries within a week. So it was quite hectic. So we do Tanzania 2 days, we do Rwanda 2 days, we do Zambia another 2 days, and we'd finish the 7 days, having gone to most of the regions. The work in the regions has increased, considering that even their books have gone up. And again, there's a need to concentrate on those matters. I don't have the 100 files anymore. We are talking about 2,000 files, 3,000 files in most of the regions.
I'll put it from a Mayfair perspective is being there to be counted. Having been there with the large payouts, claim payouts, from the NACOMAT, the claims, of which it was almost about 1.7 during that terrorist attack at Westgate. So that's when actually the industries started noticing Mayfair, that we had the capacity to turn around a claim of 1.7 billion very quickly. But then we are also a big believer of the kind of partners, and when I'm talking about partner, I'm talking about the insurance partners, because as an insurance company, you are as strong as the people backing you up, and we still have that philosophy up to date. Can this start to be counted tomorrow? Because you're in the business of paying claims, you're not in the business of collecting premiums.
We are a client of Mayfair Insurance in all these 3 countries, and it's an advantage because it's a one-stop shop for us. You just have to have one phone call and everything is, they reach out to their branch offices and it's cleared.
So today we bring about 20 international brands into the country, and we need marine covers. We need we have logistics, we have warehousing, we have all about 10 to 15 types of insurance we need for our businesses. There's a fidelity claim, there's a VIBA, all this. So I think with Mayfair, we've been working for last now almost 20 years. So far, will say we are good partners.
You see, for an establishment like Village Market, we've put in so much to mitigate risk. Things like fire system, that in case of fire happening, you have things like extensive security systems, just in case of you assuming terror was to happen. Chances are that probably you control it to a particular level. So with that, you come and sue them. They'll come and do the audit, and if they establish that actually this qualifies as a mitigation to the risk that you've insured, you get now something they call, I think, non-claim discount.
I think for me, it's a dream come true. I feel very proud of the achievements that Mayfair has achieved. If Tushar was to come back and see where we are. He left when we were only in 2 countries. He was a founding MD. And see what we are doing, the premium we are writing. He'll be very proud of what he did and the team that he created.
As of earlier this year, we now have a GCR rating of AA-, which is a huge achievement. 125 people chasing a target of 10 billion plus. When next you see a report of an insurance company in the papers, try and inquire how many people they have employed. We have companies that are at 3 billion shilling gross written premium that have more employees than we do. It's our people. It's our people. They're up to the task. They are fully involved in setting these targets. They know the business, but the feeling is tremendous. For 12 months we work hard and we celebrate once a year when we achieve the targets. They celebrate every month that they achieve, and that the CEO treats them to say every time they achieve the month's target, they ring a bell and the CEO and the HR manager serve them drinks. That's the rule.